Revit 2022 features a great number of major new updates across many aspects of the platform. In this lecture, we'll look at the main updates that relate to schedules. Note that in this video I am using Revit LT 2022, but all of these features are available in the full version of Revit 2022. The first changes that we will look at are to the schedule properties. I have opened the door schedule, where you can see I have added some additional columns. If I go to the fields settings, I can now search for particular parameter names within the available fields, such as keynote or cost, and then I can easily add them to the scheduled fields. This is particularly helpful when there are tens, if not hundreds, of parameters that you potentially have to scroll through as you would have done in previous versions of Revit. It's also possible to filter the available fields by clicking on this little drop-down arrow. The parameters can be filtered by the type, built-in project parameters, shared family parameters, or shared project parameters. So if I wanted to filter by just the built-in parameters, I'm left with the results there, or by project parameters like so. I can choose the unit, so if I wanted to find all of the parameters that had a length value, I could select length, and here I can see the parameters that have a length value that could be used for conditional formatting or calculated values. I can also filter by the discipline, and this is particularly useful, be able to filter between type and instance parameters. So those are the updates to the Fields tab. In the Filter tab, Revit now allows the ability to filter the element list in a schedule by the family name and or type name. I'm going to go back to the fields. I'm going to select the family parameter or field. I'm going to add it to the schedule. Go to filter. I'm going to remove this filter for the levels because this door schedule is going to change to a complete door schedule, not just one for the ground floor. If I select on the filter by drop down, I can select the family field, and I can then set whether the family equals a particular family or additional number of options. I want my schedule to just include standard doors and not curtain wall doors, so I can see that the curtain wall doors all have the word or words curtain wall in the family name, so I can say filter by the family does not contain, and then I can type in curtain wall. I will click OK, and if I zoom out the schedule a little bit, the family has now been added to the schedule on the end, and I can see that there are no curtain wall doors inside this schedule. I will go to the formatting and hide the family column, like so. So this is particularly useful, and it requires the families to be named consistently, but it can avoid the need to add another parameter or parameter value in which to schedule by. Because my curtain wall doors will be on a glazed screen schedule, I can effectively duplicate this schedule and invert this filter so that it picks up only curtain wall doors. If I go back to the formatting, there are some new settings available here called the multiple values indication. Let's go and look at this in a different schedule. I'm going to go to the room finishes schedule. I want to change this schedule to group by department. So I will go to fields. I will add the department field, changing the order to move department to after name, and I will change the sorting and grouping to sort by department, and I will untick itemize every instance so it groups every room in the same department into one line. I'll click OK. Notice now in some of these condensed rows the word varies appears. This is a new feature indicating that the value for the elements contained within the one row is not consistent. In previous versions of Revit, those particular cells were empty. The display settings for the varies property can be adjusted globally. If I go to Manage and Additional Settings, I can select the Multiple Values Indication tool, and I can set the values globally to be displays as varies, or I can display custom text. For example, multiple, and if I click OK, I can see how the varies has changed to multiple, and this will occur across the entire project. I'll go back to the multiple values indication and reset to display as varies. If I go to the formatting settings for the schedule, I have the same available properties here. I can use the project settings, which are those defined under the Manage tab. I can permanently display as varies, or I can display custom text, which will display custom text for this schedule only. So that allows for the multiple values indication to be overridden for each individual schedule. The next new feature that we will look at is the ability to split a single schedule across multiple sheets. Having gone back to the door schedule, which I will now right-click and rename to remove the ground floor, because this now is a schedule or door schedule for the entire project. Clearly, this schedule will not fit on one sheet, and if I go down to the door schedule sheet I have here, the schedule spills off the page. In previous versions of Revit, I would have had to have made different schedules and filtering each schedule by a suitable parameter, for example the level or the number. or mark. Revit 2022 allows for the same schedule to be split across different sheets. So I'll select this schedule on this sheet and I will right click and delete it off this sheet. I'm going to create a new sheet at A3. I'll give it a number A8. Door schedule sheet 2, and I will rename sheet A7 to door schedule sheet 1. I'll now go back into the door schedule, and in the ribbon I will select this split and place tool, and this opens up a dialog box where I can select the sheets that I wish this schedule to be split across. I will select A7 and A8. I can choose to split evenly across the sheets, or I can specify a custom height in millimeters. I will split them evenly. I'll then select split and place. It then navigates to the first sheet, and I can move my mouse to where I would like to position the schedule, and I can place it on the sheet. And if I now go to door sheet schedule 2, I now have the remainder of the schedule on this sheet. If I close the other windows and I tile the views, I have door schedule sheet 2 on the left and sheet 1 on the right. If I select the schedule on sheet 1 and I move the schedule extents up bottom, I can see how the data is added to the schedule on sheet 2. Just to demonstrate that this is in fact the same schedule, like so. If I go to the project browser, I can also now see that the door schedule has a plus button that I can expand, and I can see the 2 separate schedules visible here. So this feature will greatly reduce the number of schedules and the time taken to manage schedules within Revit projects. If I wanted to export the door schedule to Excel, I can either use the .txt method that we looked at in an earlier lecture, or I can use the Dynamo script available as part of this course and demonstrated in a previous lecture. However, now with Revit 2022, if I go to Export and I scroll down to Reports and I select Schedule, when the dialog box appears allowing me to specify the location, note that I can now save the schedule as a .csv file, whereas in previous versions of Revit I could only export to a .txt file. So this will allow me to quickly export to a CSV file for opening within Microsoft Excel or other appropriate platforms. Multi-category schedules in previous versions of Revit could only contain the loadable categories within a project and would exclude system categories such as walls, floors, ceilings, etc. However, now the multi-category schedule can contain system families such as walls, floors, stairs, etc. I will create a new multi-category schedule like so. I will add the category field, the family, the type, and then the count. I will sort by category, then by family, then by type, and untick itemize every instance. And I can see here that I have elements such as ceilings, floors and slab edges, railings and roofs, stairs and walls. So these are improvements to the multi-category schedule available in 2022. The last major feature that I would like to demonstrate is the ability to add shared parameters to key schedules. If I go to the room finishes style schedule, previously I could only add project parameters to key schedules, meaning that the information could not be tagged in views or scheduled across multiple models. For the room finishes style schedule that I am applying to my rooms, I want to add a new parameter to define the code for each of these finishes styles that I could then tag on my drawings. I'll go to the Fields tab and I will create a new parameter. This can also be done through the Project Parameters tool in the Manage tab. But notice now I can select a shared parameter. I'll click Select, and in the drop-down group or drop-down list of groups, I will select Rooms, and I have added a new room style code here. I will click OK. I will group the parameter under Identity Data. Click OK, and OK. I can now add in some values. RS1, like so. Change that to RS5. If I now open the floor plan for the ground floor that is on sheet A1, if I scroll down to a room and select the room, I can see I now have the room style code as a parameter with the appropriate value grayed out. I have also updated the room tag to include a type that includes the room finishes style code from the room. So I can now update this drawing and these tags to show this information. So this is a particularly beneficial tool and new feature when using key schedules. So that completes the lecture on the major new updates to schedules and their functionality with Revit 2022.